Okay, happy week 3 of summer action, guys, and this time we're doing finance week. So this year we are asking you to put together a team budget and sort of forecasting plan for the year going forward. So we've produced a tool that will help you do this year, and I want to make sure that when we do this, that you're managing to bring in all members of your committee. So as team leaders and VPs, you guys should be looking at the team budget and how that works. Your CRE should be looking at your CRE and engagement budget, and your project leaders should be going to look at your individual project budgets going forward. The minimum requirements we're asking for submission for summer action is that you complete the team budget, the CRE and engagement budget, and the project budget. This broadcast is to help you understand how to fill out this form, because I understand that at the beginning it might be a bit like, oh no, like what is this? How am I going to cope? But it's actually really simple, and we've tried to make it really easy for you to break down. And we've also got our handy guide to help talk you through it. So I'm going to talk you through one that I completed earlier, and when we send out the submission for you guys, you will receive this completed version and the blank version along with our guide to help you going forward with Finance Week. So in summary, anything that's orange requires you to put something into and fill out, and anything that's green will self-update as you update the things in the document. So the very first thing you need to do is put in your opening balance, and that is the money that your team's starting with this year. And it doesn't matter if it's not £5,000, it could be a few hundred or a few thousand or loads of money, but it's fine. Whatever it is, we just know it's our opening balance and it's what we're working with going forward. And the idea of this Finance Week is to identify where you might have some gaps, some pitfalls, or maybe need to fundraise in some areas, etc. But it really helps us identify how we can help you and your team go forward. So everything on the overall summary page that's in green will self-update as we go through the rest of the document. Just remember to put your Enactus team in it at the top. So the team budget. This green box, the green box will update automatically as we update the orange boxes going forward. But ultimately, we want to break down team operations into 5 areas. So the first thing we want you to fill out is your income and knowing where this is coming from. So as you can see on this filled out document, we're looking at things like membership, fundraising, any grants you're going to apply for, but really looking at the whole team and not individual projects. In this, you might also include a commercial project fund, if that's something you're thinking about getting up and running, and then you would have a commercial project budget to go with it. But that money from the commercial project would hopefully be going towards your team. Then we've broke down the expenditure into 4 areas. So one is recruitment. Can't stress enough this year how important it is to think about spending money on recruitment. So we want to include things like flyers, getting photos printed, what's going to be on your stall at Freshers Fair. Do you guys need a new banner? Is it a bit out of date? Let's factor in for all those things and put those sort of things in the recruitment expenditure. So we were not just trying to identify, yeah, we're going to spend £100 on recruitment. No, like what are we actually going to buy in recruitment that's really going to help us with this process? And why are we buying it? Like make sure the money we're spending is justified. We're also breaking down the intro night. Again, like when we talk about recruitment and retention, these things are so key. Intro nights, you know, you want to make them fun. We are a fun society. We have fun at events. We have fun with our teams. We have fun doing our projects. Like, even though we do have the serious side to it as well. But we want our intro nights to be fun. You want to get to have activities, show people really what we're all about. Then we talk about training. So in the guide, I've broken down how much training weekend's going to cost this year. We're at a new centre in Durham Valley in Doncaster. So the prices for the individuals to attend training weekend are broken down in the guide. So you can see how much you need to budget for that. And then when we're talking about travel, you know, the nearest train station is Coinsborough, and all this will be in the guide for you. But, you know, let's partner up with our local teams. Who's around? Can we get a coach? Can we create that team culture? Let's really create a buzz. In my time at Enactus Glasgow, we got the bus down with GCU in Strathclyde, and it was hilarious. And we all really got to know each other, and it was the start of like the 3 Glasgow teams really, really coming together. And last year, the guys did it again, and they even included the Edinburgh team, and I'm sure it'll look to expand again this year. But think about who you can bring in and who you can how you can make this a really fun experience for everybody. And then the sort of last thing we want you to look at as a team is competition expenditure. And I know it seems like a really long way away, but it really is something you've got to think about. Obviously, all these costs that I've put in our rough estimations and kind of made it up as I went along. But you guys can have a look into this and sort of get a more solid budget of what it'll cost you. We know that regionals is going to be, we know that nationals is going to be in London, and you should kind of know that your regionals will never be very far away. But let's factor in, like, what is competition going to cost us if we want to go to nationals, if we want to go to regionals. And it shouldn't be about you competing. It should be about you coming anyway, because it's part of the experience of being part of Enactus UK and being in the programme. So once we've updated all the figures in this, our summary box will update and give us an overall budget for what we want to spend on teams. So looks like this team of mine that I've completely made up is going to make around a £2,000 increase on their budget. And that's good, because it now allows us to go back as a team and think, oh, well, we've got a bit of extra money. Maybe we'll get some T-shirts. Maybe we'll do a bit of an event for our team, a bit of team building, go on a night out or a team building day, something along those lines. But we've already got an idea that we're doing quite well in terms of income, and our expenditure is not that high, so we can keep looking at other things we can bring in. So after we've looked at our team budget, we'd look to bring in your CRE and engagement. And this might, this is for your CRE to fill out. So in summary, that'll update automatically. And again, when we go to the income, we expect all of our CREs to bring in to apply for the EREC ITC. This money is to allow you to create employability events, networking events, host BA meetings, and really make them really effective. And if you're running a real kick-ass employability event, you might choose to include to sell tickets to potentially non-Enactus members to produce more money for your CRE to run more employment stuff for your team. So thinking about the different ways of income that your CRE can come in. And then, as I've said already, that summary box will update automatically. But we really want you to include having employability events, networking events, CRE training, and going to sponsor events in this budget. So again, there's 4 boxes for you to fill out. I think you're probably getting the gist of what we're doing here. And all of this will break down in the guide into sort of what things you should be thinking about when hosting a BA meeting, when looking to host a networking event, and employability events, and what sort of training is going to be available for you to go to. So after that, we then would move on to projects. So every project budget is going to be different. I haven't based this budget around a particular project. It's just general ideas from different projects that would come together to include in this. So if you have an international project, this summary will probably be a lot higher. Your cost incurred will be a lot higher. Things like flights, etc., always cost a lot more. So your travel, whereas like locally, just to and fro from project partners could be quite minimum, sort of 1 bus ticket here and there. But obviously internationally, you're looking at flights, you're looking at other things. With commercial projects, you might not even have any travel expense at all, depending on what your commercial project is. But your materials, this is where like we really want you to think about what you're going to need this year, because this budget as well, like when you apply for ITCs, you can just copy this project document straight over to your ITC funding, and you've already done the budget for that, and you don't need to be thinking about that at the time of ITC applications. But you know, do you need food supplies? Does your project need arts and crafts supplies? Do you need to get bits of paper? Do you need this? Do you need that? Do you need to do printing? Are you going to provide refreshments? Do your beneficiaries? Like all of those sort of things we want to break down in this materials, and thinking about really what your project needs. If you're making soap, what are those ingredients in soap, and how much do each one cost you? Really get a thorough budget together of what that is going to cost you this year. Then you might also have training for your project. So outside of the actual project, you know, sometimes Enactus UK run project leader training. It's about to get your members down to there to make sure that they're like accelerating projects or go to project ends. But then your project itself might need training. You might need to do DBS checks. You might need mental health training. You might need first aid training. You can include all of that in there as well. And then finally is about your marketing. Any sort of marketing for your team, be it like printing flyers for project fairs, you've got to pay for an online domain, boosting posts so that you're really attracting people towards your project, everything to do with marketing in this box here. And as with every other sheet, this will update at the top in the summary box. And then, so you can do this for as many projects. As I've said, we're asking for a bare minimum for you to do this for one project for your summer action submission, alongside the CRE and engagement and team budget. But this tool could be really useful to you to really map out like where the gaps are. At the moment, like I know that this team of mine would produce a net income of £2,964. That's great. That gives us a lot of money to play with this year, sets us up nicely for the year after, increases our closing balance year on year, which is what we're looking to do. It allows us to grow as a society, and we can maybe take more members to training weekend the year after. Just thinking about those sort of things. But if my opening balance was maybe a bit smaller, and let's say my income was lower, I would have net totals which are smaller, and then my closing balance would be smaller. And I'd now be looking at this budget and thinking, oh, we're like £1,336 down. Maybe we need to look at doing a bit more fundraising. Maybe we do really need to get that commercial project up and going. But this is where we can really see where the pitfalls are. But other than that, like, that's a brief explanation of how to use this finance budget. If you have any help, need any help at all, reach out to your program improvement managers. You can come straight to me, or drop me a message as well. And hopefully this will be really good for you guys to use as a tool going forward and in future years as well. Thanks very much for listening. Speak to you soon.